We're good.
All right. And this is John Pham of the Vancouver Paleontological Society. I'm the vice chair, sitting in for Perry Boone, who's not here today. I just have a couple quick announcements before we get our mini talk series. First, there is the 14th BC Paleontological Symposium in Victoria. That is taking place on June 9th and 12th, 2023. You can go to the website that's on the VanPS, Vic Paleo, VICPALAEO.org, and find out more about the symposium, which is over a multi-day event which has workshops, presentations, and field trips. It happens every 2 years. Run by the BC Paleontological Alliance, and all the paleontological clubs take part in it. Anyway, I'll let Perry talk about it more at our AGM meeting, which is just off the press from Jerry Wilkins from VanPS. So go to this website, find out more information. I really encourage everyone to take part in this event if they can make it. It really is worth it. It's only every 2 years. And we get to meet many people in the problem who are in British Columbia, and just the synergy that takes place in these symposiums can't really replace that on a Zoom meeting. So I really encourage everyone to go and find out more about this, and I'll let Barry talk about that more in the January meeting and pull everyone in. Can we switch over to second announcement? And switch over to the website, which the original Vancouver Paleontological Society website has been in existence for quite some time. It was quite out of date, so to speak, and so we've been working on it for the last year plus. I would have to definitely credit Sahar Haksad for doing the majority of the work, hard work, and updating our website, and it has a little more social media component to it, linking to our Instagram page, but it should eventually plug into our Facebook and YouTube accounts, as well as it will be much more interactive with members. And so please visit our website. It's vanps.vcn.ec.ca. So that's the new link, and we will be updating all the links and all our brochures and social media to follow the next few days. So please check out the new website. It's got a great gallery of photos, and it just better communicates what we do as a society, I think, to any potential members or long-timers. I think there's a lot that we can grow from it. You can also donate to the society from PayPal, that's embedded into the website, as well as the membership online now, something that we were working hard to achieve in the past. We have to mail off your check to carrier in the past, but now you can actually do that online, renew your membership online, or even donate to us online. So please check it out. And that being said, we'll get to our mini talks, which is a tradition in VanPS. Prior to the pandemic, Perry used to always have members do mini talks in the month of December to wrap up the year. So in this case today, we have 3 people talking. First, our speaker last month, Brennen Martens, will now, his publication has finally been published, and he will update us on the first record of the Tylosaurine Mosasaur for the late Cretaceous Phosphates of Morocco. Ai Cho just came back from a most wonderful trip to the Jurassic coast of Dorset, and she will tell us about her trip, her visit to the Jurassic coast. And I will talk about my summer visit to the Appendix C Fossil Park Nature Reserve in upstate New York. All right, so get going with Brennen Martens to start.
Alrighty.
We're not showing the screen, we're showing this.
Okay,
Do you want to show both?
I don't know.
Hey Brendan, how did you get the shared screen for the PowerPoint? Because the PowerPoint's not showing.
What do you mean? Oh,
Yeah, we just gotta get that little detail there.
Shared screen. So I'm not going to be on the screen. I get it. How do I go back?
I could do a spotlight.
Yeah.
We should bring, I'm not sure what other like good speaker system next time.
Sure, why not?
There we go, screen sharing is on.
So
Okay, check if it's working.
Yeah, looks good, Brennan.
Mike, yes, hear me? Check. Yes.
all right. Right. Do you want me to check the chat?
It's okay. I'm just gonna, yeah. If you guys can hear me, say yes in chat and we'll verify right now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Brennan.
Thumbs up. Good. I'm gonna assume that's a yes and get started. So. Okay. So, as you all know, I'm Brennen Martens, and I've been with the society for a long time now. As of recent, I was lucky enough to be on a publication of a new species of Tylosaur from the Phosphates of Morocco, and it now has a name, Paleontologist, the last of the great Tylosaurs. And today I'll be telling you a little bit more about it and the cool journey that I kind of went on with nature guy. Next. So we'll start off with the discovery. It all starts in Morocco. So there is a famous fossil hunter in the area, Bukar Chaibi. He works at the phosphate mines, and a lot of the byproducts of the phosphate mines are fossil material from the Cretaceous and the Eocene. And most of the collectors there do it as a hobby. So they work at the mines and they find all these fossils left over and they sell them within the markets, and those get exported all around the world. And Bukar was out one day at a new section that they were digging out in the phosphates. It wasn't uncovered before, and the area is thought to be deeper water. So there was some material that wasn't really appearing on the market before. So he found this interesting shaped bone that he's never seen in his entire career fossil hunting and working in the mines. And it was this odd shaped jawbone. It was missing the teeth from the tip of the snout. And you can see it on the image on the side here that it's got two teeth holes and then nothing continuing on. And most mosasaurs have teeth at the tip of the snout. This one did not. So he contacted. Oh, this is just where it's found, so you can see City Chenin, and the quarry and everything. Next. So he contacted a known mosasaur expert on the internet and good friend of mine, Trevor Rembert, who had previously published a paper on fossils that Bukar sent him before. So they've been friends for a while, and when Bukar found this unknown fossil, he asked Trevor what it was, and Trevor did a little bit of digging on the internet, and he found that it was, in fact, a nose, like the tip of a snout of a Tylosaur. Now, the weird thing is,
Tylosaurs have been extinct for a long time. And during this period, there's no record of them in the area. So he did a little search on the teeth morphology. He got Bucher to send him some teeth, Tylosaurian teeth, and he was able to conclude that they were from Hanosaurus. And comparing them to the already known species of Hanosaurus bernardi, they were completely different. Same with the shape of the rostrum that snout he's holding. Next. So Bucher donated a variety of parts of jawbone to us for our study, including the upper and lower jaw and quite a lot of teeth. And part of my job on the paper was to make the figures. So all the figures you see here, I designed. I used a very cool Photoshop program called GIMP Shop to create them. It took hours each one. It was an insane amount of time, but I was able to create a handful of them for the paper. Next. These are some of my favorite teeth. These ones took a few days each to make, but you can see it details different positions in the jaw. So all these teeth are from a variety of different areas in the jaw. There's a slight heterodonty in the teeth, so depending on where in the jaw the tooth lies, it has a slightly different shape. Next. But the tooth shape in general is that of a knife-like cutting serration. And this is a map and a geologic column that I created for the paper as well. For the map, I overlaid a Google image, Google map of the area, as well as various geologic maps that have been previously created and kind of formed a little area showing the different rock types and exposures and sites. No, actually. Because I went through peer review. I'm pretty sure it's not. Next. We'll make sure later. Anyways, so a major part of a publication, and a lot of paleontologists overlook this aspect, is artists. So artwork is not necessary for a publication, and because of that, a lot of paleontologists publish without associated art pieces. And the problem is, it creates this barrier between your paper and the general public. What the general public sees is a wall of text. And what art does is it brings to life your discovery, and it really creates this creative image of what this organism used to look like and what its environment was like and its lifestyle. And that brings your paper to a wider audience, the general public, enthusiasts, fans, etc. So for our paper, we commissioned a handful of paleo artists. We paid them to draw our new species, and that really helped spread the word of our paper, as well as get it out there to more people. So for our official paper art, we had Carlos on Instagram draw a basic in-life pose of Hanosaurus going up for a breath of air. You can see there's associated species in the background. There's a shark. Plenty of sharks have been found in the area. Ammonites in the far background. What's interesting is the site that Hanosaurus is found at. There is no ammonite material found there, but there are plenty of organisms that would have taken them, especially Mosasaurs. So those are based off of two shapes of other Mosasaurus that are built for eating ammonites. So there would have been an abundance of ammonites. And then for additional advertising, we had Toro on Instagram do a big battle between two of the newest species, right? So recently there's another new species, Mosasaur, found in the same area, Thalassatitan. And that was a really large ammonite-eating mosasaur, very common in phosphates, and it had teeth built for crushing ammonites. And our species has this knife-like dentition, which is not common on mosasaurs, and it would have fed on larger prey items such as fish and other reptiles. And we'll get into the lifestyle in a little bit. We also had additional artists, Primal Art Source and Nick the Openator, do additional art for our spread of the paper. And you can see another battling position there. Usually we don't do a lot of action scenes between creatures fighting because it's pretty cliche, but we do have evidence of Panosaurus going after the prey items. Yes. So the colors. For most new species, you have to come up with this eye-catching, what's the word? Something that puts like a face to the name. What do you think when you think Panosaurus bucher, right? So it's like a trademark sort of color. For Panosaurus bucher, its lifestyle was very interesting. It was found in deeper water deposits. So this mosasaur was an open water, it was living in open water environments. Most mosasaurs in the phosphates were shallow water. They were living around the coast and feeding on the abundance of shellfish and fish and smaller marine reptiles, whereas Panosaurus was out in the open water, and it most likely would have been a opportunistic feeder. So whatever it came across, it would have gone after, right? And a modern equivalent of that lifestyle would be the oceanic white-tipped shark. So these sharks are some of the only sharks that actively go after humans. So whenever there's a vessel sinking or capsizing, white tips are the first on the scene. Most sharks don't go after people. These guys are opportunistic. So they feed on whatever they can find in the open waters. Panosaurus most likely would have done the same. And it is massive. Next. Oh, and here's more colors. So we decided, yeah, oceanic white tip is going to be our signature color for Panosaurus. So next. So Panosaurus would have been around 40 feet long, or around 12 meters. So this guy was massive. And it would have used its size to definitely take down larger prey items. You can see it's like almost twice as long as a giraffe is tall. We got little Elvis in the corner for scale, so that's how tall an average human is. Next. And another great scale that I made is compared to a school bus, because most dinosaur books in the past would always compare things to school buses. I think it's a pretty neat scale, and recently I haven't really seen a lot of size scales using school buses, so cute. Next. So let's move on to the teeth. The teeth are very common on the market. If you go and buy on eBay or a museum gift shop or rock and gem clubs, you'll often see these big tubs of random assorted mosasaur teeth. You got like a 1 in 8 chance of finding a Panosaurus tooth in there. So keep an eye out. Next. So here we got a artistic render of a skull of Panosaur. So a few skulls exist mounted next, based on skeletal elements of the Moroccan specimens that have been found. So some key elements to the skull that are pretty characteristic are, of course, the toothless tip. All Tylosaurine mosasaurs lack teeth on the front of the snout. This may have been due to them having sensory organs, similar to alligators and sharks, or it could have been used as a ram. Most paleontologists lean towards the ram hypothesis, as parts and elements of the skull around that snout are robust and built up more for impact. So that could have also been a plausible theory. The teeth are pretty characteristic. They are curved slightly backwards and are very blade-like in comparison to other mosasaurs, such as Tylosaurus, its early predecessor, which had these thicker, smashing teeth. And what's very interesting is, like most mosasaurs, it has these sclerotic rings or discs in the eyes. There are bony plates that help keep the eye solid under deep water pressure, as well as help narrow in and aid the eyesight in like distance wise. So it could definitely spot far away prey in the open water. Yes. And this is a mounted skull. I can't remember what museum it's in, but it was part of a traveling exhibit done for Mosasaur material. And what's interesting is this skull was casted and made before Hanosaurus was named, so it's just Tylosaurus species, right? But now that it's got a name, we're expecting soon for the label and the traveling exhibit to change. That's a just mounted skull material, so it's the actual fossil mounted. So Hanosaurus has appeared in a lot of video games in the past, including Jurassic Park Builder and Jurassic World Builder, and a variety of mobile apps. And what's interesting is, next, Hanosaurus in North America is commonly believed to be Tylosaurus. So Tylosaurus and Hanosaurus are believed to be synonymous, both the same species, in North America. Most paleontologists in North America, they believe that. In Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, Australia, most paleontologists agree that Hanosaurus and Tylosaurus are two separate species. That is because they work with the material that is found in their areas that are in the Maastrichtian, which is the latest Cretaceous that Hanosaurus is found in. And most Tylosaur material is found before the Maastrichtian. So Tylosaurus is an older species and Hanosaurus is a younger. And you can see there's a clear difference in the tooth shape. It's a lot wider next at the base. Hanosaurus has an oval base and it's a lot thinner and knife-like, whereas Tylosaurus is more general tooth. It's not derived. Hanosaurus has evolved more to fit a specific niche. Next. Here we've got a comparison of Hanosaurus tooth with Mosasaurus hoffmanni, which is recently found in the phosphates. Trevor actually wrote a paper stating that in the phosphates, so he discovered the first occurrence there as well, which is pretty neat. And you can see Hanosaurus is the rooted one. So Mosasaurus hoffmanni is about 2 meters longer than Hanosaurus, and you can see over on this side Hanosaurus tooth compared to the new Thalassatitan tooth. You can see the absolute mass, the thickness of Thalassatitan, perfect for crushing shells and bone versus the cutting tooth. Next. And so here we've got a close-up of Hanosaurus with those slicing teeth going after a Thalassatitan in a swarm of ammonites. So ammonites were most likely the main prey item of these massive Thalassatitans. Chunky, fat mosasaurs, very slow moving, and like I said before, their teeth are some of the most common in the phosphates. So next. Also, we've got a lot of paleo artists now that are doing their own independent artwork. Here we've got one from Art Mizu, and this person on Instagram has reconstructed the animal as in a size chart scale with a really cool blue pattern. So it's nice to see that a lot of paleo artists are jumping on the trend of drawing and spreading the word. And I also like the kind of name they've got on the top too. Also, to come alongside with the release of our paper, we had a t-shirt company, the Mystery Dinosaur, reach out to us and ask if they could do a t-shirt based on our new discovery. So of course we were like, heck yeah, totally, right? So they designed a really cool shirt with the skull, a size chart, all the teeth next. And they're based in the UK. Shipping is pretty cheap, it's around $8, but they wanted to help spread the word of our new species. And I've never heard of a new species paper drop alongside t-shirts, so I thought that was pretty neat to partner up with them. So if you guys are interested in helping spread the word of our new species, help us in general, you can check out the Mystery Dinosaurs website. It's up there, mysterydino.com. And they've got all sorts of different colors as well as a hoodie next, which is pretty warm. I've got one on right now. Definitely helps in the BC cold. There's also a variety of stickers. So a lot of the artists we commission have translated their art into a sticker format on Redbubble. So if you go onto redbubble.com and you type in Hanosaurus, You'll see a variety of different stickers on there, which are also really fun. They're great for water bottles and laptops and stuff. So that's another way to help spread our research and support us. And there you go. That is our journey. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you all being here today. Question period.
Oh, I can't check the chat. How do I check?
Yeah.
What makes the phosphate kind of formation or say, what contributes to phosphate?
I think it's the surround, like the land around where the water was that was blowing a lot of the minerals into the marine deposits and forming phosphate. But I'm not entirely sure. That'd be a question for Trevor, which I think he might be. On the
I don't know. Do I click on the chat
Yeah.
here? Or?
He worked a lot with the geologic section. He might not have showed up. I don't. Anyways, yeah, I can ask him later.
Dan Bowen has a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Hi, Brennan. It's Dan Bowen calling. Yeah, going back to the
He
slide
does?
presentation.
Oh, is he muted right now?
Is he muted? Dan.
I think you have to unmute himself. I don't think I muted.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Brennan?
I'll try and unmute him automatically.
Would we be able to hear him here?
Okay, I'm unmuted on my end.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, Brendan, could you go back to the image of your Tylosaurus teeth? And my question is, can you tell the difference between a Tylosaurus tooth and a Hanosaurus tooth? Is there a slight variation?
Yeah, it's a little bit better to see them in person side by side. Give me a second. How do I go back? Which one's better? Especially if we're looking at it from the top and the bottom, but we didn't have any photos of both.
Okay. I have found 3 Mosasaur / Tylosaur teeth from Hornby Island.
Oh, cool.
And the reason I'm asking the question is, maybe I'm not sure what type of a tooth it is. If it's just a Mosasaur, a Pleocarpus Mosasaur, or maybe it is a Tylosaur, maybe it's who knows what it is. But that section is fairly young, younger in the Upper Cretaceous. So I do have my tooth in my house.
Yeah,
here,
if you could send a photo of the teeth, I can easily get them identified.
Sure.
By,
It's fairly slender as well.
oh,
Yeah, it's I found that the kind of the rostral teeth are more peg-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of smaller teeth from a Mosasaur, as well as on Hornby Island. Betty found what we thought was some Tylosaur vertebrae and chevrons and ribs on a fairly large, what we were thinking is a Tylosaurus from Hornby Island. So yeah, but just bring it all home here. We have some interesting Mosasaurid specimens here. So
Yeah, if you want, I could come over and take a look at them, or get images of them, and we can get them ID'd. And if you want a publication or whatever, it's right up our alley.
perfect. Yeah, well, that's what's so cool about this is you're you're working on it right now, so probably been intensifying your study on it, and you're sharp and understanding all the details, especially of the teeth specifically, because they are the most well-preserved part of the specimen. So that's kind of cool if we can ID the species or the family from the teeth. That's
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
It's very interesting because the mosasaurs from Morocco, their teeth are so specifically they've evolved for different niches that you can tell each one of them apart just by the teeth, kind of like how you can with sharks. Earlier mosasaurs are a little hard, they're basal, and their teeth shape isn't as derived. They're not evolved a specific shape, they're more general teeth. So it's a little harder to identify these earlier mosasaurs because of that in the Cretaceous. And that's why there's a lot of confusion between differentiating Tylosaurus and Hanosaurus from Hanosaurus in the Maastrichtian in Morocco. But it would be interesting to look at it because there are enough variation in the early.
Oh, I lost you there for a second.
And take a look, that'd be awesome too. And we can kind of gauge from there what they are and where to go. That'd be really neat.
Yeah, well, I'll get back to you on that. There's we're having a bit of a workshop here on Mosasaurs on the 21st of December.
Okay.
And at the museum, and I'll give you some more details. Perhaps I'll send you an email on that. We're having a individual coming in to look at all our Mosasaur material. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, let me know. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll give you a loop on that. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thanks for that. I really appreciate the fact you're relating to the artists
Oh, yeah.
on this, because as you know, and as we all know, working in this business for almost 30 years or plus, it's the illustrations by the artists that make these fantastic beasts come to life, and for students and children and adults, it makes it all real. Yeah, right on.
Without them, we wouldn't have that.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
Thank
they
you.
definitely deserve a lot of credit for their work that they put into this for sure. And a lot of papers and a lot of paleontologists don't give them enough credit. And I think that's something that they deserve more than anything. So we're more than happy to collaborate with as many artists as we can with these projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, spot on with that. Yeah. So
Thank
thanks.
you. Okay, is there anyone else? All good? Check the chat one more time. I think.
Okay, we're gonna switch over to the next speaker, Ai Cho.
Awesome.
Our visit to the Dorset coast. It's fall. We might be a bit behind time, some technical difficulties, so based on timing, we may have to postpone my talk to another month. See how this one goes, okay?
J-I-A-I.
Can you get rid of the chat? Perfect.
Okay, so my name is GA, and I was really fortunate to be able to visit the Jurassic coast, which is on the southern part of England. So this is the view from the beach, and you can see there are like lots of fossils in this giant one that's in the front.
Brennan, it's not working. I did. What do you mean? Working now? We'll try and use the arrow.
Okay, so, the Jurassic Coast, the place I visited was Lyme Regis, which is, more on the west side, and then Charlotte, which is about 5 kilometers east of it. And it's basically the county of Dorset, that, is very famous for certain Jurassic fossils, as you'll see. So, in terms of geological timeline, the, fossils that were that I was looking at were mostly lower Jurassic, so in the Mesozoic, anywhere from 200 million years ago to about 160 million years ago. And the layer that a lot of these fossils are coming out of is in the lower early Jurassic Cretaceous, I think that's how you pronounce it. So you see in the next slide. So when you talk about early Jurassic, this is when the landmass Pangea split up and the Tempestine started coming in. And the part that you're going to look at is in the center, these little dots of landmasses. And where England is, most of it was underwater. So next slide. So the area that we're talking about, Dorset, is actually underwater, and although it was, I think they think that Dorset was in the shallow waters, shallow seas, and pretty subtropically warm in that area. So this is what the Earth looked like with different, see the shapes of different continents and countries. And Dorset was actually below, undersea at this time.
Northwest of. Sorry, it says it's northwest of.
Yeah.
So in shallow seas, about 1,000 kilometers. And this was a chart that I found where they were looking at all the marine reptiles that were found, fossils of them found. And this is what this area looked like. They were in different parts of England. You can see different parts of marine reptiles. So this is a map superimposed on the top. It's the actual photo of the area. So Lyme Regis on the west, and then Charlotte on the east. And the part that the fossils are coming out of this formation called Blue Lias Formation, which is the early Jurassic formation. So you can see that you can actually see in later pictures, you can see the layers of sedimentation happening all the way to Cretaceous, all from Jurassic. So I was ready to go. I was so happy that I could go. I made myself a little tattoo. The train ride from London to Lyme Regis takes about 3.5 hours, and then you take a bus. So it was a long way, but it was well worth it, of course. So first, I want to talk about Lyme Regis. So it's on the southwest coast of England, and you can see that there are many other little towns, but Lyme Regis is one of the main ones, and of course Charlo's on the 5 kilometers east of Lyme Regis that are famous for showing these fossils. So Lyme Regis, I really enjoyed staying there because it's a really quaint town. The whole town is geared towards, spreading the word of, the fossils, of course, world famous fossils, and especially Mary Anning, that I'll talk about in a bit. So I like the lights, the shape of ammonites. That's the word. So on the right, the brick building is the Lyme Regis Museum, and it's on the site of where Mary Anning actually lived with her family. On the left, there's a little fossil shop where the movie Ammonite was actually filmed in, that showed that part of the fossil shop as her workshop. So the whole town really has a big tribute to Mary Anning, who was I guess one of the first woman paleontologists. Although she wasn't an academic paleontologist, she was a working paleontologist. So this is on the left is a statue that they erected after a little girl, I think, collected funds to commemorate Mary Anning. She was very famous because she discovered a complete ichthyosaur, like when she was 11. Like her family was not very well off, so her dad and her brother and herself, they collected fossils and they sold them as curiosities. And subsequent to that first discovery, she discovered many other things that are very significant scientifically. So this is on the south side view of the Lyme Regis Museum, and then the entry to the museum has all the evidence. So the small little Lyme Regis museum has lots of original specimens that Anne Mary Anning collected. So there are, of course, the ammonites, but bits of, you can see, for instance, on the right is a dorsal fin of an ancient shark. So there are a lot of little, lot of things that she collected that are still there. And she was the first one, I think, to uncover the pterodactyl, the whole specimen fossilized. Of course, she's very famous for ichthyosaurs. So here's one of them, the skull and the paddle and the vertebrae. I couldn't believe how many ichthyosaurs there were in the museum itself. So some of them were collected by her and other ones were. And this is a very rare one that she found because the head is very small, like the snout is very small, so they called it a brevis type of ichthyosaurus, brevis seps, because it's a different species of ammonite ichthyosaur compared to the traditional. The whole thing was not that big either. Like the whole specimen was on display, and I would say would be about 3.5, 4 feet maybe. Usually they're about 6 feet. So they have this giant specimen on the wall with all the parts that are there, but also all the parts that are missing. And then on the bottom it's a plesiosaur fossil. And you can see there are quite a few parts missing, but they were able to put together some parts there. Yeah, I wanted to look at where Mary Anning actually was placed after she died, and I had to find her gravestone because, in fact, she was actually buried with her brother who died earlier than her, so they actually put her with her brother. So you gotta look very carefully because you see Joseph Anning on the top, and then you see Mary Anning on the bottom. So yeah, I finally found it, and yeah, pay respects. So this is the beach view of Lyme Regis. And as I was mentioning before, you can see lots of sedimentation layers. So like the whole cliffside exposed. And in winter times, that's the best time to collect because a lot of those cliffs fall down and you see fossils with them. I went on a fossil walk with the docents of the Lyme Regis Museum, and they were awesome because they brought out what you would expect to find and how to find them, and their dry English sense of humor was really fun to go walk with them. So when you see in the center, like you just walk on the beach and you see a big chunk of rock that fell, and then underneath it is a giant ammonite. It's just sort of, okay, and this is something that they called it as a ammonite graveyard. So something happened where masses of ammonites just died. So they don't know exactly what happened, but you can see, like you won't actually see the actual ammonite imprints, but you will see pockets where they were before. So they call them graveyards, and see a few of them at Lime Beaches. And there were just ammonites everywhere. Like you're walking on the beach and you see big chunks of rocks, and then of course they're poorly preserved, but I mean you see the remnants of different kinds of ammonites. And this was kind of an exciting find because the piece of rock didn't look like other pieces. And as soon as I showed one of the docents, he said, well, you need to donate this. And I said, what? He said, you need to donate this. So like, okay, I got no use for it. So he thinks that this is a piece of a plesiosaur vertebrae that he was working on. Like he knew that it was, there's one individual that he was looking for parts to on that beach, and it was kind of like eroding out of different places. So yeah, I gave it up to the museum. And then this was another one on the left. Again, it looked different than other fossils I was finding, and then he thought that it was also a some bone material. So he asked me to donate that one too. So I let them both. So he will let me know. I said he wants to clean it out and find out what it is. So after spending a couple of days in Lime Regis, I traveled to Charmouth, which is only 5 kilometers east. And it's again a very beautiful beach, and you see rolling hills and the cliff sides. And again, you see all the layers eroding out. And on the left, you see chunks of mud that had all these rocks and other things kind of eroding out, but there could be some fossils in there as well. And it was like very sticky clay. On the right, you see again ammonite fossils in the matrix that are eroded. And the Charmouth Heritage Center was again very impressive for such a small town. It had so many different specimens in it. So of course, ichthyosaurs were big ones. There were many subsequent finds after Mary Anning made ichthyosaurs famous. And this is a really nice sample of very well preserved and well prepped ichthyosaur. But there were other specimens. There were Jurassic fish, crinoids, and sponges. That was kind of different. And of course, many, many different kinds of ammonites. Also, there were insects. This fossil dragonfly is from that area, and there were different kinds of dinosaurs too. So this, I don't know how you say it, Tylosaurine. It's a Charmouth dinosaur they found in that location. So I just wanted to, I don't know how much you know about ammonites, so I just wanted to talk to you about ammonites. So they are such, I mean, I love them for their aesthetic beauty, but I mean, they're just so different as well. There are so many different types of ammonites. These are all from Jurassic Coast. So in reality, what you find are not those beautiful specimens, but this is what you find, all these fragments. And you know, some of them are okay, like on the right, you see some higher-tized ammonites that are cool, but like for the most part, you see bits and pieces, right? So this is a artist's recreation. I mean, that was built by the left-hand side some school group made a model of the ammonite. It was displayed in the Charlotte Heritage Center, and this is on the right is what ammonites may have looked like. So these are some different kinds of ammonites. So this is from Sherburne, Dorset. And this one was kind of cool because it's got like a spiral with the ribbed edges that are kind of separate. Like I've never seen that kind of shape before. So some of these I bought. They have lots of good fossil shops that are reasonably, like the specimen were reasonably priced. So if you're not able to find, your own specimen, you buy them. And these are the toppers where you crack them in the middle and then you get two halves. And this was kind of cool because you get two different versions of, they're very tiny, like some of them could be like a size of your like small fingernail or up to about 2 centimeters big, but you could have agatized version where you get this kind of like dark and beige specimen, and then you also get pyritized version, which is the fool's gold version of it. So kind of cool where, it depends on how they were fossilized. And you find little chunks like that if you're lucky. Some of these are very tiny, some of them. And pyritized, I found out that, water and moisture in the air can decay them, so you have to keep them in very dry spaces. So these are some of the different kinds of ammonites that were found. And talking about ammonites, I just want to chat a little bit about how ammonites fit into the cephalopods. So ammonites are very similar to octopus and squids, except they have a shell on the outside, and that they're extinct now. So I found a picture of what an ammonite might look like on the left. This is what the artists or the scientist version of what the ammonites might have looked like. And there's actually a picture that I found, which on the bottom shows a 3D picture of a type of an ammonite. They were able to take a picture where you could see some of the internal structures. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The side buckle, or the area that's connecting all the chambers, is on the edge in ammonites. Like, I was kind of impressed with that imagery.
Okay, sorry.
Get more beautiful specimen. Okay, nautiloids are still around today that are different from ammonites. And again, they're beautiful specimen that are found there. And nautiloids are very similar, but the sutures are not visible on nautiloids on the outside, and the side buckle is actually in the middle of the chambers, but they're very similar, nautilus and ammonites, of course, in structure. The outer chamber is where the animal actually lives. So if you can imagine a squid or octopus, they live in the outer chamber, and then all these other chambers are not, they're not filled with the organism, but actually air and water. So this is a modern ammonite, you can see, or sorry, modern nautilus, where you can see the side buckle running through. This is a nautilus that's sliced in half. And they, both ammonites and nautiloids, they think that they move similar to the modern nautilus and, of course, octopus and squids, in that they actually take water in through their mantle, the cavity, and then they squeeze the mantle cavity, and then they shoot the water out with a siphon. So they actually move in small bursts of movement horizontally. Vertically, they can go up and down because they can actually fill the chambers with air or water, so they can go up more air and then they go down more water in their chambers. Another group of organisms that I found were belemnites. So again, you find tons of them. These are just the tips or the rostrum of the belemnites, and they kind of can't really tell what kind of animals they are, but they're sort of like, if you think of a cuttlefish, so they're cephalopods as well, but the parts that you're finding is the rostrum here, so they have internal structures. I mean, the squids nowadays have just a very thin pen that gives them the internal structure, but these guys have these round cone-like structures that help them keep their structure. There were a few bivalves that I was able to find. So this is called devil's toenails. It's an extinct oyster. So you get chunks of rocks like that, and you kind of like that. Then you see free ones that are falling out of the matrix. Of course, tiny little clams. And I found some echinoderms too, mainly the sea lilies or phinoids. And phinoids are around in modern day as well. They kind of look like flowers, but actually animals. They're related to sea stars. And the parts that are most found are the stems, the little discs that make up the stems. So this was from the museum. Of course, I didn't find that. It's beautiful with all those little structures preserved. The things that you find are like this, right? So you see big messes of them. You see the stems, and then you see like all the echinoderms have what they call pentaradial symmetry, which means you get 5, and so they look like little stars. So that's how you can tell. And sea urchin and brittle star, again, they were in the museum. I didn't find any. This is a little sea urchin, more recent, and then brittle star. This was a beautiful sample they had. See all the tails. And then of course, ichthyosaur, which is fish lizard. External structures and internal structures. So these guys were found from Triassic to Cretaceous periods, and like I said before, they're about 6 feet long. They kind of look analogous to a dolphin, and they move by moving their tails from side to side. And the little vertebral column, I found a few small ones on the beach. They can get very big depending on where which part of the body comes from. And the interesting thing is that, of course, they have a downward vertebral column down the tail. And of course, they have very sharp teeth. So on the left, you get different sizes of the vertebral column. The ones I found were smaller ones. And their limb or the flipper, it's kind of interesting if you compare to a human, because we're mammals and these guys are reptiles, but you can see that the bones are very, the basic bones are still there. So the ulna is very reduced, like wide and reduced. And then they have the radius and ulna, and all the digits are, of course, where our fingers would be. So it's kind of interesting that you can compare the different bones, and ichthyosaur has evolved differently. And I found out that again through some research that ichthyosaurs look a little bit different. So during early Triassic and middle Triassic, they didn't have a dorsal fin, and their tails, the fluke, looked different, and their vertebral column on the tail bent downward as they evolved in Jurassic. And of course, the famous one in our BC history is, of course, the Triassic ichthyosaur found by Betsy Nichols. And it was 21 meters long, and I think that is displayed at the Terrell Museum right now. So, and since then, there's been a tooth, and they think that they can go up to 26 meters long. So these are giant ichthyosaurs compared to this 6 feet ones. Okay, plesiosaur, or what they call almost lizard. There was one hanging, model hanging on the cleaning of the Charlotte Heritage Center. So they have different pictures of it, but I mean, it looks really like a monster that you don't want to run into. This is plesiosaur. This one, yeah. So they were really abundant. So there were some that were living together with ichthyosaurs. And of course, the first complete skeleton was found by Mary Anning. And it's got a very small head with a triangular front, and then they have a long neck and a broad body. And they also have flippers, they have short tails, and they think that they use the flippers to swim rather than the tail. And teeth are simple cones, and again, they had a diet of squids, fish, clams, etc. And this is the plesiosaur that Mary Anning found, and this is found in the Natural History Museum in London. So just the sheer size and the thickness of the fossil was quite impressive. And that's a vertebrae of a plesiosaur. And I found some wooden, petrified wood, was just in the beach again. Guess what this is? I thought this would be an appropriate way to end the talk. So that's the end. Next one. I don't want to get too picture by the and this was just sitting in the beach, and that's a nice postcard I picked up.
What was that?
Chat.
Check the chat. Is there any questions?
Yes.
Was that area like a heritage site that everyone was collecting at, or what was that designated as?
I'm not sure exactly. I think it is a heritage site, but you are able to like there were like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And it's so fossiliferous that like you go next day after the tide's gone out, like you get a whole new whack of fossils, right? It's just amazing, like yeah. Or some people were just sitting on the beach and kind of sieving it, like using a little sieve, or yeah. I think people had different methods.
That sounds like heaven.
Yeah, I would stay there for more than days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that comment, Brennan's question. Like in the UK, they have designated sites of scientific interest where there's a code of ethics that everyone generally follows. But in general, if fossils that are weathered out, anyone can collect them.
Yeah.
And they also can be legally sold as well, and they only ask the important fossils to be, donated or shown to the museum.
I like that.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think it's a very fair system, and most people follow by those rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I asked, now that I live in Alberta, I'm in a course right now about paleontology, and this subject came up, and the site came up, and my class became outraged over the fact that people could collect these fossils, and that it was a heritage site, and they're going on about needing to shut it down and stop the collecting. And I was like, where am I right now? But yeah, it's like, is it a heritage site? And do they have different rules? And yeah, they do. But it's crazy, Alberta's a totally different culture. But I'm glad
It's
that that's
different. Like if you think about it, this whole science wouldn't probably have been as advanced as if it wasn't for someone like Mary Anning, who was a commercial fossil collector.
Yeah.
So this is part of the UK heritage.
Mhm.
So you can't really deny the importance of commercial collecting in this place, because Mary Anning is from like regions. So I think in the UK, and they have a different understanding of that in general.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, like you think that people would, they go through the code of conduct, like, collecting, not destroying all the protocols, and also, you know, if you find something that's significant, then you should give it up to the museum. But I mean, they were like little children collecting, grandmas collecting, there were like all kinds of people there.
That's
The
awesome.
locals were coming out all the were tourists too, but yeah. It's
That's
fun.
good, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did great.
Are there any other questions from chat or anything?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
All right.
Maybe I'll just ask a quick
Oh, I hear
observation.
Dan talking.
Dan's got a quick
Yeah.
question there. We
Well,
got about 10 minutes left, Dan, so
Okay, make it quick. First of all, way to go, traveling over to England and going to Lyme Regis and Charmouth. We've been over about 4 or 5 times, and it is one of the most wonderful experiences you could probably have if you're into paleontology. And to find fossils there, it's wonderful. And I really enjoyed your presentation, brought back all kinds of good memories. So thank you very much for that excellent presentation.
Thank you, Dan.
And just to wrap things up for our December talks, we will join again next month, I believe on January the 18th at our annual AGM. I might be doing my talk next month or the one after. Unfortunately, there's just run out of time today. So I'll have to redo my mini talk on Penn-Dixie Fossil Heritage Park at some later date. And I just want to thank everyone and happy holidays, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thanks, John.